Hello YouTube. The old Skynet 1A satellite, launched back in 1969, arbitrarily changed its orbit, and instead of the Indian Ocean, it ended up directly over the United States. Experts say that there are no natural reasons for such a trick. Who controls the piece of iron with which the connection has long been lost, and why? Well, Skynet is a family of military communications satellites operated by Babcock International on behalf of the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense. They provide strategic and tactical communication services to the branches of the British Armed Forces, the British intelligence agencies, some UK government departments and agencies, and to allied governments. Since 2015, when Skynet coverage was extended eastward and in conjunction with the Anik G1 satellite module over America, Skynet offers near global coverage. Well, let's keep that in mind. The Skynet contract allows Airbus Defence and Space to sell surplus bandwidth through the Skynet partner program to NATO and allied governments, including the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance members: Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States. As of 2020, 7 Skynet satellites are operating, plus Anik G1. Well, now there are wildest conspiracy theories that you can find online, from the scheming of aliens to the secret experiments of the world government with artificial intelligence. It's not for nothing that the name of the satellite coincides with the name of the system that enslaved humanity in the movie Terminator. The apparatus was launched in 1969, and it became almost the first British military satellite. The facility, it maintained contact between London and the contingents of British troops scattered around the world. For example, with the group in Singapore, although the main forces left the city-state in 1971, the last soldier boarded the plane to London only in 1976. At that time, the British did not know how to do projects in space, and the Americans made the satellite for them. This particular apparatus was built by the now defunct Philco Ford company, and a Delta rocket delivered the satellite to geostationary orbit. So it hovered at the altitude of 36,000 kilometers above Africa. And the peculiarity of the geostationary orbit is that they literally hover over one point, neither here nor there. So what could possibly go wrong? Surprisingly, few documents have been preserved in the archives, or they're classified. This is Russian information, keep it in mind. I want to present their view on the situation because they're also interested. Anyway, to continue, the old-timers of the Air Force recall that the Americans set up all the apparatuses, all the satellites, and handed them over to the British at the Air Force base in the town of Oakhanger. They did, but not quite. The veterans sitting at the monitors had it in their heads that the satellite's subordination was like a double one. The Americans were constantly interfering with its work, but no one remembers what they wanted or exactly what they did. There is also zero information in their archives. A few years later, the primitive Mission Control Center in Oakhanger had to be temporarily closed for a technical re-equipment. As it was established for a while, the entire team that monitored the satellite moved to the United States, to the base in Sunnyvale. When Britain restored its observation point in 1977, it turned out that they could not find the satellite. It simply disappeared. They didn't look for it then. The satellite has long since exhausted its resources, got lost. Over the years, the satellite should have drifted naturally to the east. All calculations show it was over Africa. Now it's looking over the Indian Ocean. Well, recently the satellite was found, but not there, but over the United States. Thus, it flew in the other direction, and the deflection span was half the circumference of the globe. The satellite itself could not have been there. So someone turned on its engines when they were still listening and moved them. But who and why? The Skynet 1A satellite. So far, the most natural explanation is the story of the temporary relocation of the management team to the United States. Perhaps it was inconvenient to steer the object from the States while the base in Britain was being repaired, and someone said, let's move it closer to us. But the ends don't add up. When the British returned home, they began to look for the satellite in the old location, but they didn't find it. That is, they did not know anything. There's no information about such a decision in the remaining surviving documents. Actually, that's the end of it. Because the Russians stated all the facts that they have, at least openly through the media, there will be no others, but only speculation. I'm sure they checked what's available in the West. Western experts say there is not a single natural reason for such a behavior of a celestial object. The Russian media call their experts, and they have the same opinion. The hypothesis that they themselves moved it towards the United States to make it easier to watch and then forgot, oh, it's so-so. And by they, of course, I don't mean the Russians. It doesn't look serious if they forgot it. And then why move it? The object is also perfectly visible from America in the old location. Therefore, conspiracy theories are used. For example, like this. In the mid-1970s, American intelligence agencies decided to use an old but still working piece of hardware for some of their secret endeavors. Even the British allies were not brought up to date. They took advantage of the repairs at the tracking station in Britain, and the object was slowly pulled out of place. What is the purpose? The Russians think it was necessary to place the satellite over America, and the target is probably somewhere there. That's what all this disguise is for. Another theory is more complicated. They say that they decided to conduct bad tests on the satellites, bad in the opinion of the Russians, of course, but what they say is that, for example, surveillance systems for everything and everyone. Finally, who would forbid thinking that aliens decided to study our technology, took a sample, opened it, closed it, and returned it, but they returned it to the wrong place? Who is sorting it out? Of course, no one bothers to think like that. And if in the 1970s the geostationary orbit resembled the highways from the Russian movie Beware of the Automobile, meaning drive in any direction, there is no one there anyway, well, today it's cramped, and the old piece of hardware gets in the way. Will it be removed from the orbit? It depends on what secrets are inside. If there are none, maybe they will remove it. That's what I wanted to let you know today about this very unusual event. And of course, if there is any update that we find out about, I'll let you know. If you like my research, please support me through the links you'll find in the description to this channel. Please like my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.